The following presentation is extremely based on spoilers. Like, so many spoilers. If you haven't watched the latest episode, it's called Labyrinths, of Star Trek Discovery, you might not want to watch this first. You might want to put this on hold, pause it, whatever works for you, and then make sure you watch the episode. How does Will Wheaton do this so smoothly each week? We call him awkward, but honestly, he does a pretty good job. Anyway, hi, Captain John with you, and it is time for us to begin the show. My sound settings are bad. Okay, hey, welcome to Starbase 80's Disco Nights. I am your old pal, Captain John, literally doing more than one thing at a time here. So the qualities. As soon as I do that, quality, right down. It also does not seem to have worked. Hang on, sorry. This is the sort of thing that why is that not working? So many things not working today that normally work. How is that even possible? Well, I can tell you one reason why. The system is very mad because my co-host, our beloved Joe Townsell, is not at home base. And I think that really, really angers the system. So let's bring him on and maybe my computer will be happy. Everybody. Hey, Joe.
Hey, John, how are you? I have to tell you that just now, for one brief tantalizing moment, I thought you were actually disrobing instead of putting it on. So, please don't get me all excited unnecessarily.
Starbase 80 OnlyFans. Available nowhere. Available nowhere. Yes. Okay, so Joe, you are on the road, but you have done so much work and put this show together for us in so many ways. We love that. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Also, our good friend Craig Robinson is with us. Good evening, Craig. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Craig.
And I hope your last stage show was a success. Captain, yes, thank you very much, Mr. Robinson. Yes, thank you. I had a small role in a very good play. It's actually an English play, Craig, called Hangmen. And I had to speak like I was from the North. And I don't know if anyone outside of California thinks this is a Northern English accent, but hopefully they do, because this is the way I was speaking. It's terrible. It's terrible. We had a dialogue coach, and she was actually like, could you please stop rolling your R's? That's Scottish. She was so patient with me, but like every other note was like, please stop being Scottish. Please stop being Scottish. And it's not like I'm good at the Scottish accent either. It's just of all the accents that I could muster right now. Anyway, I have a
John, you have it all over me as far as dialects go, so please take that into account.
The other actors on the stage, this is just between us because none of them watch the show. The other actors on the stage were just picking an accent and just going with it. And one of the characters was Irish the whole time. We never mention it. It never comes up that he's Irish. I know a bit about the UK, and Irish is a thing. Like when you're Irish, people notice it, and not in good ways either. So we were like, look, it's the best he can do. Just leave him alone. It's the best he can do.
Now, for example, if you remember the movie I Love You, Man.
Yeah.
Which I do, John, by the way.
Oh, I love you, man.
Thank you. But the one guy in there. They're both Rush fans, and he's trying to do his best to imitate him. Slapping the bass. Slapping what?
Well, the verdict is in from Craig Robinson, and it's this. Oh dear. Well, you're a damn good captain, so you've got that going for you. I love
Brutal
it.
honesty that cuts like a knife.
I love it. It doesn't get more English than that. Oh my. Okay, so that's the last we'll have to speak of that on the show ever, as far as I know, because I don't have to do that accent ever again, as far as I know.
But again, thank you to and congratulations to you and the cast and crew for what I know is a very successful run of Hangman.
Thank you. It's I you know, if I do say so myself, it went extremely well.
Good.
And people enjoyed the show. It was a nice big cast too, which is unusual. Usually they'll do shows with very small casts out here. So it was nice to have such a big community and such a nice group. And a great director on that. Jessie Mae Stevenson was our director, and she's terrific. She's an Oklahoma girl, or Nebraska. She's a Nebraska girl who came many years out here to California, much like I'm a New Hampshire boy out here. So it's amazing that any of us sounded like we were not from this country, frankly.
And now we can all look forward to Play-A-Palooza.
That one is gonna be wild. My actors are working so hard, and I got to tell you, it's a pleasure to be a director for actors that work harder than me. Because for me, acting is always such a vacation, but these two are really, really putting the work in, and I really appreciate it. Hey, folks, before we really get into things here, we should let you know JoeTownsend.com, your online destination if you want to learn more about Joe and his writing, his books, his short stories, science fiction, fantasy, dystopian future, creepiness, evil doers. He's got it all. You gotta check him out. The dark and bizarre imagination. Joe Townsend. Over there at JoeTownsend.com. I'm looking for my nearest Joe Townsend paperback. So it's over by the couch.
You mean the one with the perfect spine according to
That spine's been broken just a bit.
I saw that on it. Thank you, John, and thank you for ongoing support of JoeTownsend.com. Please visit. I think you'll enjoy.
Oh, you definitely will. And it's a website made by Joe. Joe, of course, who does all our artwork and is talented in so many ways. But the most important way in which Joe is talented is that Joe can give us the beats. Let's talk about this episode, Labyrinths of Star Trek Discovery, in its final season. I don't know that I've mentioned that yet. And here in the final season, how many more episodes do we have, Joe?
2 more.
Two. Careful, don't turn that around. Craig's watching. It's from the UK, man. Okay. The beats. What are the significant events and moments and pieces of dialogue that make up the beats in this week's episode, Mr. Townsend?
Thank you, John. Here we go. As John mentioned, the title of this week's episode is Labias. Oh, I'm sorry. Damn autocorrect. Labyrinths. There we go. Always go with Flobo's favorite device. Good puns or bad ones.
Oh, wordplay makes Flobo so happy. Yes. Labyrinths.
Thank you for that clarification. It puts a different spin on it, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It depends. I mean, if it was named the other thing, I would have watched it more than once.
That's true. We've done a lot of hits. Well, now we've cleared that up.
Yes.
The episode begins as the Breen perform their cover of "We Will Rock You" by Queen, using their patented knockoff Klingon paint sticks. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I mean?
God, they are. They're Klingon paint sticks. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Jokes are good. You'll hear at least twice more during my beats here. Now, speaking of puns, we do find that it ain't easy being Breen.
Oh,
Now
it's
that
not
Locke is
easy
dead.
being Breen. Well done. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Not sure it's totally original with me, but it just clicked in my head. I had to include it.
I don't know. It's pretty good.
Now, Locke is dead temporarily. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Primarch Ruin decides to seize this major political gambit in an effort to declare himself as one Breen to rule them all. That's a reach, I know, but
Still good. Still good.
okay. Thank you, sir. Now, Maul, she has other ideas. Divide and conquer. We'll see how that plays out later. Meanwhile, Disco's spore drive deposits the ship at the edge of the good old Badlands. No space tornadoes or fireballs now. So, gang, this ain't your father's Badlands. Something new. Robert Preston arrives straight from the Music Man to announce the arrival of our Madam Librarian. Well, maybe not. Actually, it's the perky Harrell. And again, this is not your father's librarian. Something a little bit different. Follow me, she says, and don't stray off the path I provide, lest you get pummeled by yonder plasma storms. Now, Michael has to politely ask Harrell to hush a few times. This librarian doesn't speak in library hush tones, as it turns out, and she's actually a pretty chatty Kathy.
So, yeah, it's really cute.
And cute. Yeah. Have a little point there on the tidbits later on, which is I think is accurate.
Oh, excellent.
The Eternal Gallery and Archive, at last, and soon the last clue will be in Mikey's hot little hands. Oh, BTW, says Harrell. We have a cool but mysterious Quagian artifact right here. Want to bring along Book to check it out? Cool, says Mikey. We're looking for a reason to include Book in this episode. Fabulous, says the librarian.
Nice how that worked out.
Yeah, isn't that nice how it worked out? We know we're asking you to shoehorn Book into this plot this week. That also gives us a chance to make a lame joke about a guy named Book visiting a library. Oh. And if there was anyone who's an authority on lame jokes, you're looking at him, John.
Seriously, I thought I had the market cornered. And then when they did that, I was like, oh, man, even I didn't see that dad joke.
Dad joke or bad joke? Is there a difference?
I mean, they actually ask for him. So they ask to borrow Book.
Yeah. Isn't that clever?
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, everyone at home.
Now, Book, now happy that he's going to have several lines in this episode. While playing two roles, there's a spoiler. Book reassures his lady love that he's not pissed anymore and that Mikey handed them all over to the Breen last week. I just can't stay mad at you, sweetie. Now, after beaming over to the massive space library, Harrell assures the away team that the Breen aren't a threat. Well, she may come to regret that arrogance a little bit later in the episode.
Yep.
And just like that, Harrell presents Burnham with the original Beta Z manuscript for Dr. Drex's Labyrinths of the Mind. An episode title alert, of course.
Right.
Burnham puts her training from the Evelyn Wood speed reading course into effect and skims the book quickly. The manuscript, not her boyfriend.
Right.
Inside the pages is a metal plate that glows when she touches it. Kind of like when Book's forehead glows when he does his empathy thing. You know, we've seen this.
Right.
Now, Book shows up with his pointless artifact, only to get finds his girl fainted dead away on the floor. Now, Michael awakes, but not really. And she's recommended by Book. Shh. Keep it to a dull roar, Captain. This is a library, you know. John, I have to ask.
Yes.
When you blink out for a second, I'm still going, right?
You still go. Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, it's because I'm doing distracting stuff over here.
Okay. Just want to make sure that I wasn't, boring
No,
myself and I was boring everybody. We
no,
gotta make
no.
sure we do that.
It's I'm like, well, I want to reach for my bottle of iced tea. It's way over there.
I'll know this going forward. Thank you. Now, Book, he's now wearing archivist robes. Let's get real, gang. It's a dress. Seems that Mikey is now trapped in a mindscape, whatever that is. Book, but not Book, is actually a program designed by the former archivist. Burnham's subconscious is now driving the events of this episode. Interesting. Book, baby, take me to that final clue. We have only 2 episodes left to get to the progenitor tech before the brain lays its mitts on it. Meanwhile, back in the real world, whatever that is in Star Trek, Raina and Kobor beam over to find Mikey incapacitated. Don't interfere, advises the doc. Waking the captain now would be like rousing a sleepwalker. Could be bad news. Holy shades of TNG's inner light, Batman. Okay, back to Fantasyland. Michael figures that all these clues were all hidden during the Dominion War. Makes sense to look in the library's history aisle as a result. Good place to start. The clock is now as the Mind F is shutting down. It's clicking. I left out a word. The clock is ticking now as the Mind F is shutting down. We better find that clue real fast. Wait a minute. We almost forgot about the brain. They find the library rocking and come a knocking. Harrell tells Ruin to make like an egg and beat it. Are we famous last words? We'll see. Now, back in the mindscape, Michael's finding that asking subconscious Book is like talking to a brick wall. But she remembers the title of this episode. She's in a maze. Just have to figure out how to navigate it. Hopefully she won't end up like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. That would be bad. Now, Fake Book gives Mikey a bucket of sand and asks if she wants to make a sandcastle. Tempting, but not right now. Instead, let's just use it to mark our way out. Even better idea.
She's using math too. That's kind of cool.
That is cool. Okay, back to reality. We're kind of flip-flocking back and forth a lot, which is fine. Keeps it moving. Now, things are getting dire and the situation is grim. Raynor orders the Disco to hide in the storm before the Breen appear on their doorstep. Now, despite his hatred of their current adversaries, Raynor is secretly jealous of the enemy's no-nonsense approach. You could say that he's Breen with envy. Oh, boy.
Wow.
The reaches are getting more extensive.
I'm going to defend you at the trial for that.
Oh, thank you.
When they bring you before the High Council, I will be your defender.
Thank you, John. Well, it is sometimes worth inventing a totally non-existent plot point to make a bad pun, so I did it. Now, Michael does get through the maze, only to find Fake Book and no clue.
Mm-hmm.
The walls are literally closing in, and her universe is getting smaller by the minute. Holy TNG's Remember Me, Batman. Sorry, Michael, but did you think there wouldn't be one more little test? Silly girl. Can we trust you with the progenitor tech? As Uncle Ben always said, with great power comes great responsibility. Michael better come up with the right answer. Muy pronto. Now, just when it seems that Michael is ready to throw in the towel and slap the crap out of Fake Book, the Breen darken the Disco's doorstep finally. Ruin is anxious to kick some librarian butt and fire a super cool tunneling beam. They're going to break through the library shields and send over a whole platoon of troops. But Disco to the rescue? Well, they can knock out the Breen tunneling beam, but it may be a little bit too little, too late. Raynor and Real Book open a can of whoop-ass on some of the Breen while royally pissing off the others. Oh, wait! What's happening with Maul over on the Dreadnought? I haven't seen them since the teaser. Well, the crafty former courier and widow of Locke begins to turn Ruin's soldiers against him. Boy, for a human, she turns out to be very persuasive with those Breen. Now, after her tantrum, Mikey returns to the last room of her incredible shrinking universe. That, by the way, is a pun for a Joe Townsend story in Fury Duty, so check it out.
Fury Duty, available now.
Available now. Time to turn on the waterworks for Fake Book and bare her soul. Burnham opens the floodgates, revealing her insecurities and doubts. She doesn't regret spilling her guts. Hey, the series is almost over. What do I have to lose after all?
That's funny.
But you know what? I should be sharing this with a real book. My book. And hey, almost forgot about Dr. Direx's test. Turns out that just by cutting the BS and being honest, Michael Burnham is now deemed worthy to protect the progenitor tech. Now, with that business out of the way, Fake Book tells Michael where the last clue actually is. So Fake Book also whispers another nugget of wisdom into Mikey's ear. But sorry, gang, that reveal is for a future episode. Gotta leave him wanting more. Now, the captain wakes up just in time to see everything going to hell in a handbasket. The Breen are popping up everywhere, and things are looking bleak. Now, since there are only minutes left in this episode, Michael finds the last clue in about 10 seconds. They beam the heck out of there, and the Breen find themselves shooting at thin air. On the Disco, Burnham orders the ship to come out of hiding. Let's give them something to fire up besides the goofy and helpless librarians. Very nice. Well, Ruin demands the map. If Burnham refuses, he will keep killing space librarians, and worse yet, he will not pay his overdue library fees. Now that's brutal. Mikey says, take it easy, Mr. Primarch. You've got a deal if you swear to a Turgun, a sacred Breen oath, to leave the archive intact. Tilly puts the last piece of the puzzle, revealing the full map. Michael skims through it, having no trouble at all using ancient and highly advanced map technology. Wasn't that cool? He just never seen this before. Oh, yeah. So let's get the coordinates first. Then we'll hand it over to the Breen. Good plan, Michael. Okay. Now, against Maul's objections, the Primarch violates the sacred Turgun and fires at the Disco anyway. I mean, that, come on. That ruined. He's not an honorable guy. Wouldn't make a good Klingon.
Nope.
Burnham orders a time-honored Trek ruse, simultaneously employing a spore drive jump and plasma gas release. And believe me, folks, this made for an impressive, silent but deadly escape.
Oh, the explosive gas.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we can.
Now, the dim-witted Breen are tricked once again and believe the Disco was destroyed. In actuality, the ship relocates instantly, a hop, skip, and a jump away from the progenitor destination. Disco is severely damaged, smoking from a truly lethal plasma gas ejection. Moral? Never trust your farts, unless they come out in a shard. Hey, here at Disco Nights, we're not embarrassed to resort to potty humor when needed, right, John?
Not at all. Not at all.
Now, further crapping on his sacred oath, Rowan decides to destroy the space archive. Those librarians are always so smug, prim, and proper, and it really irks the Primarch. This despite the fact that the library houses some rare Breen artifacts as well.
Yeah.
So Maul sees her chance to drive the final nail into Ruin's political ambitions. She turns Ruin's Breen subordinates against him. Again, never underestimate the wiles and persuasiveness of a resourceful human cutie. Locke sure didn't. He would have went for it hook, line, and sinker. And besides, if they get a hold of that progenitor tech, they can bring the Scion back from the dead. That's what we've been told. We'll see.
Big promise. Big promise.
Big promise. Well, the other Breen are sold. Using the distraction of the dissension she planted, Maul takes out the Primarch in about 5 seconds. She uses his Klingon paint stick knockoff against him. The Primarch is dead. Long live the Scion. Now Maul declares herself the new ruler of the Imperium. The Breen shrug, say, what the hell, and join their lady leader in a rousing chant. So as the episode closes, the pumped up Breen perform an encore of We Will Rock You with their nifty knockoff Klingon paint sticks, and we're off to find the progenitor tech at last.
That was beautifully done. I really.
Oh, thank you, John.
Beautifully done. And I have to admit, while I was watching this episode, I was like, well, incidents are happening, events are happening, but it's a fairly compact plot.
Yes.
And maybe at that point, I don't know. Do you think at this point in the storytelling, the plots are getting a lot simpler just because we're getting so close to the end?
Well, I think it definitely has something to do with it. I tell you what, before I even continue with that statement, why don't we move on to Down and Dirty?
Let's get into the down and the dirty. Let's break it on down. Yeah. So, storytelling when you're this close to the end. 2 more episodes. You'll notice the front of the. Two of the. We gotta think about our British viewers. Oh, look at this. Look at this from Craig. Couldn't they get Zora to 3D print a fake block of clues out of programmable matter? They don't know what it looks like, the Breen. My God. Yeah. The Breen
Didn't
don't
occur to
know
me.
they
I
got
think
the
it's
real one.
a brilliant what if. Good
Yeah.
job, Craig. Because, and you know, it's not unique in the sense that there's probably a few times this season they could have done something a lot simpler, made the decisions a lot smarter. I don't like it when, and I'll have more to say on this in the other sections, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like it when a character gets dumb to serve the plot.
Oh, my that's the thing that hurts me the most. Like I will turn on an entire TV series if they put too many stupid moves in a row.
Right.
But not making a super smart move like this one is not quite as disappointing as making a very stupid move.
Oh, sure. There's levels of digression and degree, but
Yeah.
as I said, this is and I'll get to this in my MVP,
Oh, good.
but this is one chink in the of a otherwise strong armor. Well,
Yeah.
maybe that clues where I'm going with that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
to answer your question of a moment ago, yes, as a writer and a deliverer of plots, um, we're seeing, I wouldn't say the calm before the storm, but it
Mhm.
is a penultimate episode because we're pretty certain at this point that we're going to have a 2-part season slash series finale.
That makes sense.
So
That's the thing.
we're gonna get a lot of story and advancement in
Yeah.
these last 2
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. And it also kind of suits this episode because or this season, because if I were to be talking to someone who's not watching it right now and they go, "Oh, what's the final season like? Is it worth watching?" I would say they've got themselves in a real place right now in Star Trek. They were doing it in Picard as well,
Mhm.
where it's like movies. Like it's such a big scale. It's huge. The stories are really big. They
Mhm.
go many different places. They have many different characters and extras and big giant vistas. And it's like movie after movie after movie,
Right.
which is the result of all of the technology they have and how strong Star Trek is as a franchise right now. So that it's not like the bottle episode model that we're used to for 7 seasons of the Next Generation
Right.
necessarily. It's it's a lot fewer episodes, as you and I have been saying all season long, Joe.
Yeah.
But they are like movies. They're very, very big. They're very visual. They're filled with action, and that's fun. I like that. I also love bottle episodes on DS9 and TNG. So, I like it all, but yeah, this is all right. This is making me happy. I like this. And we are getting to a conclusion that's very big. Now that the Breen are involved and it's so
Mhm.
dangerous. These are good high stakes. That's, from my little point of view.
Well, I think it was a good move. I think they found a little bit of a footing with Picard season 3 in that, okay, we're gonna do a 10-episode arc.
Yeah.
In the past, Discovery has run anywhere from 12 to 15 episodes a season, and that about this time we really start to feel it drag.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
good point.
I think by tightening it into 10 was a good move.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll ramp it up and give us very satisfying conclusion over the next couple of weeks.
They got a lot of promise to deliver here because it is the final episode of the series coming up. So, yeah, I really want them
Exactly
to
right.
succeed. Yeah.
And well, like I said, getting more down and dirty here. Um I teased her during the beats. I found this use of Michael sharing her insecurities, her vulnerability, her fears about not living up to her potential in many ways, professional and personal. I
Yeah.
found that to be a very effective. Or in the past, she's come across kind of like a crybaby, on occasion.
Big complaint from a lot of people. It's like, man, she cries all the time. It's always this, blah, blah, blah. And that's been going on, since season 1. But I absolutely agree with you. And they've been really good at kind of planting the seeds of this too,
Mm,
especially in that her relationship with Book has been completely on the rocks this season.
mm,
And it it does make sense. It does make sense that her heart is broken, that she's doing her best, that she's fairly insecure about where things are right now in her life and how she deals with things, because this relationship with Book was once really, really great and they were really in love, and she's had some direct reminders of that when they were hopping through time.
exactly.
So yeah, it's paying off. It's a payoff, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, in terms of storytelling, I mean, we're commenting a lot on the season as a whole because we're getting there as far as being complete.
Yeah.
And I've been really impressed generally with how standalone story concepts,
Yeah.
but integrated into the overall arc. And you mentioned a perfect example when we're hopping all over the time, with the little spider bot. Um, we got a taste of it. We saw, okay, there's some of that regret, and we just it was built upon here.
Mhm.
You could observe those situations, those instances separately, and they'd be every bit as effective individually, but together as an evolution of the characters over the past few episodes, very effective and worthwhile. And like I said, a very very genuine thing from Michael Burnham.
Yeah.
This time, we're not necessarily in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely true. Uh, I really, really like how things are turning out with Rune. I agree with your jokes in the beats about it's awfully funny how the rank and file, the low level drone level Breen are really kind of taken with her, and that she's able to like talk to them, when when the Primarch Rune is not paying attention. Um, and I'm like, is this like if the other Beatles were listening to Yoko? Like, I'm trying to put this into terms that I can understand. It's wild to me that, well, I mean, first off, Locke was Locke, so the
Yeah.
fact that he lived this kind of lonely existence and it sucked for him, and then he meets her and she's exciting and interesting, very physically different from him, but
Mm.
he kind of falls for her. But it's like, they all kind of have this, I don't know what to call it. It's this sort of interracial thing. It's interspecies though, isn't it? Where they're like, hey now, I kind of dig the girl with hair.
I like that non-jello face.
She's not a lizard at all. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, although I guess there were times when I was watching Planet of the Apes and Kim Hunter or even Helena Bonham Carter in the
Mhm.
the Tim Burton version. They were cute. They were cute monkey women.
Apes. And what
Apes,
do
I
they say to Charlton Heston? You're so damned ugly.
yeah, I don't know. There is a weird weakness that they have for her, but I guess I feel like the writers have done their work. She's married to the Scion. They love the Scion. They love the bloodline. Um, and really, let me get to my big point here, which is I love that this story is about people going, hey, this ruler of ours is really selfish,
Mhm.
like hugely anti-Breen in how selfish he is and how much he'll just toss our traditions out the window for his own reasons. And we don't we don't like that. They don't rebel against it, which makes sense that they
Yeah.
wouldn't. But eventually, when she rebels, they're like, "Yeah, I'm not sure I liked Rune so much," and I kind of like that. That works for me.
Well, I mean, the Breen clearly are easily led, and it takes a lot for them to step outside that zone, and
That's a
that's
good
just the
point.
makeup of their society and their military. I grant you.
Yeah,
I did find initially it was a little bit convenient. I mean, Maul was really counting on Ruin to ruin himself
yeah,
in the sense that I mean, the tour gun has always been there apparently, but thank God it popped up this episode to give him a chance to betray that and really reveal what a nasty guy is. And it just took her pushing him over the tipping over the edge to bring the first lieutenant over. And of course, they're just going to fall in line behind him now.
right, right. And
So,
so she's going to be in his ear, and everyone's going to be listening to him. So she, by proxy, is kind of running things. But I guess that makes sense too. With if you have a monarchy,
mhm.
even though they don't like her, they don't like the fact of her, she still does speak for her husband, and she still is doing everything for her husband. And I guess they see that.
Well, I don't find the Breen one dimensional in that sense at all. I mean, we're getting to know them really because we didn't really get to know them in
Ever.
DS9.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
served a single purpose and they filled that. But
Yeah.
now we're getting to know them as a people, not
Mm.
just an enemy,
Mm.
which is the quintessential aspect of Star Trek we love.
Yes, absolutely. Craig just put up uh, a comment, and Craig, I'm going to save that comment for MVP because you are absolutely right. That's something
Oh,
I meant to write down, but I didn't. So
and
when we
it's gonna
get
be a
there,
surprise to me because I got you full screen, so I'm not seeing the comments unless you put them up. So
oh,
I'm
good.
glad to have that as a surprise later on.
Oh, good. A little something to keep Joe watching the show.
Yeah. This show and
Oh,
all and our others are anything but boring. I think we can
oh,
make that claim safely.
Joe loves these shows. For me to even make that
Of
joke is
course.
ridiculous. Joe works harder at this stuff than I do.
Oh, I wouldn't know about that, but we were a great team. Let's leave it at that.
That is true. So yeah, and I have to say, without getting too political as an American right now, I do love the idea of people turning on a selfish leader who doesn't care anything about the traditions that they love. I
Mhm.
kind of wish that was more common in my life, that people would go, that leader is so selfish. Maybe I should think for myself and not support him no matter what he does or wants. I
Well, it
also,
definitely brings in the concept at a very base level. You're
yeah.
talking about Maul and accepting her, you know, a lesser of two evils, plain and simple.
Well, that, and she does respect the traditions. She does know the traditions of the Breen. She's the one who brings up. Oh, no, is she the one who brings up the Turgan? No,
Yes.
actually, or is that a Burnham thing?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Burnham brought it up. That
Right.
was that was part of her safety net apparently, but then Maul ran with it.
Maul ran with it because she sees the opening of, like, she can see the audience, know your audience.
Yeah.
She knows these guys cared so much about the Scion, which was another beautiful moment near the beginning when they're celebrating the Scion, and then Rune's like, "Stop it!" And they have to like apologize for loving the Scion so much because Rune's like, "Yeah, stop it! It's all about me," basically, in so many words, which is great. That is a first big crack in the mirror here, and I really appreciated that moment. That's some good writing. That's some good editing.
Some other details that really struck me as great. I thought that the library was phenomenal.
Yes, I actually have a tidbit about that.
Oh, wonderful. We look forward to
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And on a very minor thing, it was just because I thought he got screwed when they took the ISS Enterprise away and then Reese is left out of that. We did
right.
get to see him take the con for a little bit. So that was nice.
Interesting. So Craig and I are like, ding, like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's gonna come back. That's gonna come back.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
And you know what? You know, it was an effective. I'm going to call it a penultimate episode because we know that I'm certain that the next two are a combined whole.
yeah.
And It's just the type of thing you want to see before you really put your foot on the accelerator and go, go, go. Now, I will say that I've called it my lamest plot point
Yes.
in an episode that didn't really have a lot of lame points, but this was at the top. I'm going to read it verbatim because I want to make this clear. After proving her worthiness to protect the progenitor tech, Michael just hands the map over to the Breen. And she's relying
Damn.
on the Breen's lack of bigger picture thinking.
Yeah.
It may be a mistake in the last 2 episodes. I hope it's not.
Yeah.
But then again, that would give it the drama we need. But it just didn't. It rang false to me. Was that the only way to get out of there?
That's a really good point. I was very bothered by that myself. And I guess I'm willing to go along with it, but it does seem very plot centered,
Well,
that she
especially
would do
given
that.
Craig's brilliant comment from a few minutes ago. Couldn't they just faked it somehow? Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
already found out that the Breen aren't the brightest bulbs in the box. I mean, they're pretty
Right.
easily tricked.
Right.
But I have a feeling that we're basically that's the point I made earlier. Is like, are we dumbing down a character? Are we dumbing down a plot device just to further the plot along? And
Yeah.
that if
Yeah.
so, that's not the best writing. That's not the best
Yeah.
storytelling.
Here's a down and dirty observation from Craig that I love. Another great Reno scene. I love it when you guys do that thing.
Absolutely.
It's so great. It's so great to have the character of Reno there to call that trope of like, oh my God, we just thought of the same thing together and we're saying the same words. And it's funny that it happens. I don't hate that it happens. It's even funnier now that Reno's there to go, yeah, you guys do that a lot.
Yeah, a criminally underused character for the entire series, in my opinion.
I just keep thinking there's got to be some way they can keep using her, right? No, there's no way. There's no
Well,
way.
Starfleet Academy.
Oh, maybe. No, that'd be cool. No, that'd be really cool. I'd like her on Starfleet Academy. That'd be
I mean,
great.
I would think that wit and stoicism would be real appropriate with those kids.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I also wonder if it isn't tough, especially with a comedian like Tig Notaro.
Mhm.
I wonder if it isn't tough to schedule because comedians tour. They like to do shows, and I don't know what her touring schedule is like right now, but maybe she's hard to get. Maybe that's why she hasn't been on the show more.
Oh, that's been my feeling all along.
Yeah.
Obviously you come with certain secondary characters to pepper in some interesting aspects in a given story. But I think there's also the behind the scenes real life equivalent, like, hey, we get them when we can.
Right, right. Like Doug Jones is working.
Yeah.
He's got other film work going on right now. I don't know though about like Detmer and Owo. It's it's weird and strange to me that they haven't been on, that they kind of got moved along. But it is what it is.
To me, that just totally suggests because I can't see an in universe advantage to jettisoning, albeit underdeveloped characters, sure, but just getting rid of them to bring in a whole new set that you're not even get a chance to know anyway because they're going to be gone in 10 weeks. So,
I can make one guess, and it's a wild guess, and I don't know anything about it. But one of the things that happens in your pay when you're on a TV show is you sign the first you sign a contract, and basically the contract will say something like every year we have the option to fire you, and you agree to this is part of your contract, but you don't have the option to leave. Now, another thing that happens is pay bumps. With every season, you normally get a pay bump, and it's not huge, but it's okay. And if they were to hire new people, of course, those new people are working for less than you are, and their pay bump isn't going to show up. They're not going to have to pay that. So that's actually why there are a lot of shows that will stop after 3 seasons, You see this a lot on Nickelodeon or like on Disney. There'll be a live action show, and then they'll turn it into a different show. They'll give it a different title. They'll bring in different characters. And now everyone's working for the first time on this new show. So your raises don't accrue.
All right.
And it's just a cheap way of not paying actors.
It's speculation, but I think it's likely speculation.
Yeah.
I'll read this one from Craig since I see it.
Yeah.
Craig asks, why didn't they just make another new helmsman pop up halfway through the episode? Did I miss something?
Yeah.
Might be the continuity glitch there. That's true.
It's weird how we don't have the characters that we had before, but however they cross the finish line, I don't care. Just cross the finish line at this point.
Well, again, I don't fault the performers and the actors at all. And there were interesting aspects that were built into those characters.
Yeah,
albeit very slowly. But you know what? They probably, I think you're right, John. I think it turned into a money thing. They say, you know what? This batch of characters, we're paying X number of dollars. Yeah. They're kind of expendable because we didn't do enough with them. So
right.
Let's just populate them with other people.
Yeah. I mean, look, I understand that there are other shifts, there's the night shift, there's the early shift. And yeah, we should see them, but yeah, it just seems weird how they've been introduced. On the other hand, I like them all. I like seeing Linus on the bridge. It all works in the end.
And here's a sudden thought popped in my weird little head.
Yeah.
Maybe some or all of these characters we're seeing for the first time this season, maybe they're heading towards Starfleet Academy in some capacity.
It could
as a means of introducing them now, and then we'll know a little bit about them when the show starts.
Yeah.
Maybe they're kind of correcting the earlier mistake of the original bridge officers by not doing enough with them, and they're going to get a head start.
It's entirely likely. It's entirely possible. You know what? I'm going to make a command decision here. Good. Let's go straight to MVP. We kind of alluded to some of them, but I do love Craig's offering.
I can't wait.
I gotta agree. So Craig says, we show Commander Reese some props. He's really got that Kirk Riker chair lean on point. I absolutely agree with that.
That's a great observation.
You're always looking for that. As a dorky fan that I am, I'm always looking for those breakout moments. And I do love when an actor shows initiative and it really pays off. So I can't remember the name of the actor who plays Commander Reese. But when we meet the Mirror crew in the Mirror universe, he has a really solid character of who Reese is. Mm-hmm. And I think I saw it on the Ready Room, where they were interviewing the actors about what it's like to play your Mirror counterpart. And he was saying, well, I figure my character was actually a drug dealer, and he was extremely violent. And so he's drugged up. He's also violent. He has no morals. And that's where he gets his edge. And I'm sitting there going, that's a good actor. Because they don't give you that backstory. A lot of times what you have to do is you have to decide what your backstory is. That's where you take your decisions from. That's where the center of your character comes from. And then as they reveal more about your character, they being the writers and the producers, as time goes on, you change it and you rearrange it. You embrace what you're given, but you have to make a lot of assumptions in the beginning. How would your character react to violence? How would your character react to a threat? Is your character more of a thinker or a doer? You have to make these decisions as an actor. So I always liked that about him. And yeah, he looks like Captain material to me, man. He really
does. Again, who knows what leadership role he might assume at Starfleet Academy. I can't imagine it's going to be a totally static show where they're there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be like DS9. They're going to have mobility. They're going to have various craft to go do certain things. I can definitely imagine being a command level in that particular fleet, for example,
Yeah.
of
I mean,
vessels that might go to and from the academy.
is it like the 3rd episode or the 4th where Tilly's talking about um being a teacher and how she really wants to challenge the students. She really wants them to think more seriously about Starfleet and not just like quit and leave.
Right.
And she says something like, well, I can't crash a ship on a frozen ice planet and have everybody work together to survive every week, or can I?
I remember that being fairly early on, so I'm going to go with you and say that that was as early as the 3rd episode.
Yeah. I don't think it was episode number 1, but I love that because I used to hear down the grapevine complaints that writers had when they were thinking about doing Starfleet Academy back in the late 90s.
Mm.
And the big complaint there, I mean, there had been, I think in DC Comics, there had been a mini series, and I think Nog was in it. But the producers of the actual TV show were saying, we don't think it's a good idea to put children in danger every week. Now, granted, that was 20 years ago, so maybe things have changed. More
Yeah, kids are a lot more mature now in the 32nd century.
I,
Put them in the line of fire.
I think the world's a lot more cruel than that now. I'm not sure the world protects kids the way it used to. I'm not even sure what I would say for this next section, Joe, but let's talk about predictions. Do you have any predictions here that you feel are kind of novel and interesting? Because I don't.
Well, I really only have one because I kind of already touched on it. I had two.
Yeah.
The other one being like this will definitely be a two-part conclusion, so that's not much of a prediction. I think it's just a given.
That's a pretty good prediction, though, I have to say.
But I guess the main prediction I have is, and I hope it doesn't make me too wishy-washy. I'm going to reverse an earlier prediction,
Yeah.
and I think I'm comfortable doing this because I think it will be effective if they don't muck it up.
Yeah.
I think Locke will be resurrected.
I agree. I think that will happen. Interesting, though, if you think about it, because the potential there is that he comes back a changed man slash lizard man slash
Yes.
goo man. So there might be something weird about him after being resurrected. Don't know. The easy way to go would be he gets resurrected, but sort of the nobility of the progenitors is somehow in him. And because he is the grandson of the long gone emperor, he could actually be the leader he's never wanted to be, but he could be. So there's a lot of potential there, Joe. You really bring up an excellent point.
Well, I believe so. And you know what? When he was reluctant, that was before he first met Maul. Let's look at the situation as it stands now. With
Interesting.
Maul, with his partner, which is
Yeah.
what she is in all ways.
Yeah. Right.
They could be a dynamite team in leading the Green Imperium to maybe a higher level of being. And that's why I say if they don't mess it up, they could really make it work in terms of a redemption arc because he was halfway there.
Yeah.
She's getting there.
Yeah.
And it would, if handled correctly, it wouldn't come across as fake and phony and convenient. I think it would be a real uplifting experience. I still hold to a prediction that Maul, and now I'm thinking maybe both of them, if he comes back, will end up working tightly with Michael Burnham and the Discovery crew
You
to
think
get
so?
that tech and
Yeah.
make sure that it's guarded and used in a wise way.
That's the hope. I'm definitely with you there on the hope. Yeah. Although then there's always the relevant, you're a horror writer, you know this. You never bring anybody. Pet Cemetery, never bring
Right.
anybody back from the dead. Never. It's always bad. But I
Where's that
can't
cake
believe
with Judd? Now I want to play with you.
the the potential creep factor is mitigated by the fact that the progenitors seem to be extremely kindly, good people. So yeah, maybe that won't happen. Let's see what Craig says. I saw a comment on the interwebs that the world route is a prelude to them bringing back Quajon. Oh my gosh. Excellent prediction.
Yes.
Yes, that is a big deal. And I actually really was, it's so funny because part of the Joseph Campbell hero cycle, the monomyth,
Mhm.
one of the things is a boon. You're given a gift that you never saw coming, usually from some higher authority, usually from a god or something. And yeah, we saw that in this episode. They have pieces of the world route from Quajon, and it's like the most important part of Quajon. Of course, the people are important, but the one thing that really could have made things good for Book is there. He's got pieces of the world route. It can be regenerated. That's very exciting, and I do hope that happens because the
That,
loss
that's
of
that's a
Quajon.
great prediction, Craig, and I'm going to take it as such.
Yeah.
And you know what? It would from storytelling perspective, it would add an even more nuanced additional layer to a new resurrection theme.
Yes, exactly. It's so funny how this just feels very Genesis project.
Well, that was pretty clear several episodes ago because they did
Right,
say it can be good, it can be bad. You
right,
know.
right. Which I think brings us to the most wonderful part of
Oh,
every episode. And that would be Council's tidbits. Everybody, get your tidbits out, lay them on the table. Joe's going to tell us his, but we're going to share ours with him. What tidbits did you find, Mr. Townsell, in this episode, Labyrinths?
well, I'm going to go against regular procedure. John, I'm going to ask you. You said you had a good one. We may
Yes.
have the same one, so I want, if so, I want you to be the one to share it. And
Okay.
if not, then we'll have our distinct list. So.
Okay. All right. I'm sure you caught this one. This is not a difficult one at all to catch, and I'm just going straight to memory alpha as I frequently do. So the mindscape, this this game inside Burnham's mind that she is forced to play, enters via a nucleonic beam. You must have had this one because I think you even mentioned it in the beats, Joe, which
Yes.
was in the inner light from the Next Generation. The Capt'n probe uses a nucleonic beam to send Cayman's memories into Jean-Luc Picard's mind. And
Mhm.
so now he has a family and grandchildren, and he plays a little flute.
Yes, I absolutely, because it's such a major relation there. I did touch on that, not with the detail you just provided, but just essentially in some of the same plot beats, in the
Yeah.
sense that Picard is invaded, at least initially. Um, don't touch him. He has to go through this. He has to ride the wave, and then have this whole otherworldly experience in just a few short minutes in real time. So yes, that's definitely brings to mind inner light. I did
Yeah.
also, of course, bring up that some of the plot devices of the ever shrinking fantasy world harkens back, of course, to Remember Me, where Dr. Crusher was in an alternate reality and she finds her whole universe disappearing. So
Interesting.
great
In-
overlap there. We both caught a major plus, a pro for this episode.
I was also put in mind of the episode in which Michael McKean plays the clown in Voyager,
Yes.
and that's called The Thaw. And
Hmm.
there's basically a mindscape being shared by many people in these sort of coffins, these iron lungs that they're put in, and the lights go out at the end when they basically beat the clown. The lights go out. So as the lights are going out in the library, I was very much put in mind of that.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, at this point, after how many over 1,000 episodes. I have no doubt total over the franchise's history.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to come up with a lot of totally unique ideas, but it's how they're executed. And I think in this case, getting a little down and dirty again, but um, it was good use and good execution of this particular concept. So kudos
Yeah.
to them for that.
Yeah, I dug it. I dug it. I have another tidbit.
Let's do it. Let's hear it.
This one is so Canadian. It's so Canadian, bro. And I always love this when I see it in Star Trek. I love Canadian television. What can I say? I absolutely love it. So I'm going to share screen, and this is one of the open atria at the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library. A seminar room is situated at the base under a mezzanine, and this is at the Toronto. This is in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe what they did was they used it as an art basis. And they, of course, created lots and lots of shelves based on this limited number of shelves that actually is in this library. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of cool that they based it off of a library in Toronto.
Absolutely. And when you said that you had a tidbit before we got to this section, I thought this was the one.
Oh, no kidding. You knew this one too.
Oh yeah, I've got that one on there. I mean, that was too important of a point to not dig into it a little bit. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we both caught it, because I'm glad you shared the screenshot, because anyone who's seen the episode, which should be anyone that is watching this now,
Right.
could see that they took an already impressive locale and just expanded into this phenomenal set piece.
Yeah. It's really gorgeous. And again, I'm never one who's going to complain when they take things from Toronto and they put them in the show. For some reason, that makes me happy.
John's a happy man.
Well, it's so funny because X-Files shot in Toronto, and yet they'd be like, look, here we are in Budapest. Like, they would always make it something that wasn't Toronto. So this or that episode where, oh gosh, what's her name? And Kirk on Strange New Worlds are in 2023 Toronto. just like, we had no money for this episode, so we just brought the cameras outside.
And we're not trying to fool you. It's in Toronto.
And we're not lying. We're telling you the truth. This is Toronto. Yes. I also have a friend from Toronto, and that's what he calls it, Toronto. Hey man, Toronto. I come from Toronto. Which always reminds me of Tranya, which is delicious, and you will come to relish it much as I.
Hope you relish much as I. It doesn't look just like Tang. We love it.
So, Mr. Townsend, any tidbits that I missed? Because there must be.
Got a few here of note. I'll just make a joke out of this because it's already been mentioned, but I'll just ask the simple question: where in the world is Carmen Sandiego and Saru? 5 episodes gone, but he's going to come back probably in episode 10. We'll see him get married. He'll prove valuable in some way to the conclusion of the quest. But as we know,
a good prediction. That's a really good prediction, because I actually have that feeling about Owo and Detmer as well. It's like we'll see them.
Yeah, they're not just being abandoned. I mean, they've been removed from the story for purposes, and they'll be returned for greater purposes. So that's our hope, at least.
Yeah.
I caught this. I looked it up. Bridge Officer Lorna Jemison. I imagine she was named in honor of NASA astronaut Mae Jemison, who appeared in TNG.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's
so I guess in the universe, she might be a descendant of the original astronaut back in the 20th century.
Maybe. That is so specific. I agree with you. That must be done on purpose. I agree. Yeah.
Oh, same spelling. So I'm sure that somebody say, oh, this is a neat connection. I did make a note of Dr. Direx's reading list included a comprehensive guide to Talaxian hairstyles. I actually got one of those.
Your hair looks great. It does not look like does not look like Neelix's hair.
For the commander.
Talaxian hairstyles right over my head. I forgot that Neelix was a Talaxian.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Other works include the Hyperion folktales and the Euclidean I can't even talk anymore. Euclidean geometry, which actually the latter of which is a real Earth book. It exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I thought this was interesting as well. Just a minor visual point. The Labyrinths of the Mind manuscript shows us Beta Z written language, which is kind of a theme this season. We're seeing just at a glance some of the written native tongues of some of our most popular alien races.
That makes so much sense because there is that joke, which is very true, of when the universal translator goes down, everybody speaks a different language.
Absolutely. Well, we saw it on DS9 early on.
Yeah.
They encountered a race that it just didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
a real Babylon there.
yeah.
You know?
I love that truth. That's Shaka when the walls fall.
Yes.
The complexities of language, the complexities of communication. I do love when they actually honor that because it is truly difficult. Late entry for predictions coming in from Craig. Action Saru comes in riding on the Voyager Z in the third act.
Hey, I think that's a great prediction. I will be very disappointed if that doesn't come to light.
That would be great. That would be nice cavalry right there. Captain Saru, who had been captain before.
Well, and it is ironic that Action Saru is now missing in action.
Oh my God, he's missing an Action Saru. Damn, somebody get that over to Paramount immediately. I don't think they've actually even confronted the truth of what they've done.
And John, that's my tidbits. We had some good overlap this week, you and I, so we were able to give some really fun, comprehensive tidbits this week. So
I had a couple of tidbits that didn't work out.
okay.
One was, I think this is the first time we've ever seen Book playing a character.
Huh?
But it's really cool that David Ayala, Book isn't just him being cool, which on TV is a lot of times what people do with their characters. Well, it's just me, but like noble, capable. Ayala, when he's playing the game version of Book, the annoying game guide, the annoying help function, has a definite character. And big, as an actor, I gotta say, big tip of the hat to David Ayala for having range and bringing it to this show. Really,
Well, he and Wilson Cruz, when he was Ginobra.
Wilson Cruz, another excellent example. This is a guy, he's an actor, so he's going to give you a different character. Yeah, that's really cool. And one thing that didn't work out, which was I was trying to figure out the gowns that the librarians and the Book are wearing, and I was like, that reminds me. Okay, I'm going to share very quickly the screen, and so that would be you. And I was like, what does that remind me of? Do you remember the movie The Cell starring Jennifer Lopez?
Freaky Jennifer Lopez stuck.
And she has like these, gorgeous mental psychic gowns she's wearing. But so is Vincent D'Onofrio. But as it turns out, no, that's not what we were seeing. Completely different thing. So, and one more thing about The Cell, it's Canadian science fiction.
How can you go wrong?
So
and John, before we wrap it up, I just saw my list. I do have one more. I could be wrong, so we'll call it a possible tidbit.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that Harrell, the librarian,
yes,
she looks like she could be the same race as the Federation president in Star Trek VI.
Oh, wow. How cool is that?
Forehead markings and the like, and the hair sure seem identical to me.
Yeah.
She's never named. Her species not named. I'm not sure it's even named in Star Trek VI, but it just, intentional or otherwise, I think that there's a resemblance there.
Okay, so for some reason my internet's working really well, and I was able to look up Hyrel. Do you have any knowledge of Efrosian? They say she is a female Efrosian archivist.
Well, again, I don't remember the Federation president in Star Trek VI ever being identified as such.
Dude,
So
you are okay. All right. So I clicked on Afrosian. You're 100% right.
oh, so I did spot that correctly. I wasn't sure.
And that's Kirkwood Smith. What's
Right,
his name?
right.
The father from That 70s Show. You're right, the same race. Holy cow, you're so good at Star Trek. Jumping Jehoshaphat, that's amazing.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad I didn't miss what I had it at the end of my list, and I almost overlooked it, but I'm glad we brought it up.
And you know something? There's a reason why he's so good. Because he's an awesome, a star, a podcaster, a sci-fi scribe, and the subject of one of my favorite songs.
Well, I was going to say, and I have my own theme song. I'm a happy guy.
I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to put this on. I made the song on the Sumo app, and I should say the Sumo app.
Look ya.
Oh, I'm allergic to high quality writing.
No.
That's why I love Canadian sci-fi so much. So yes, friends, check out joetownsell.com. And that brings us to the end of another episode, Mr. Townsell. We're very excited about what's in your immediate future. What's going on with you, sir?
Well, as we established, I am visiting good friends here in Fresno, and I attended my best friend's daughter's college graduation, excuse me, yesterday, and I'll be here for several days just visiting and having fun in Fresno. And while I'm here, I'll still work on the fun things I like to work on, including the next book, the next stuff in our webcasting. Oh, yeah. Believe me, everybody, John and I have some great things, coming up, and you're going to love it all.
Oh yeah. We've been having so much fun, basically arranging for the rest of this year and the stuff that we're going to do. It's going to be fantastic. We want you to come back and join us tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we will be working a double feature of Karen Black. And I've got a friend who's very much into horror and horror Hollywood, and he is so thrilled that we're doing this double feature. So, big ups to my buddy, Joe Megna. I'm so happy we can come up with something that really cool people love. Speaking of which, Tony Luna, Tony Luna will be joining us as our guest tomorrow night. And I'm not going to fake the funk here. This was Tony's request.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, you know what? Why don't we, on Retro Rangers, it'd be fun to do a double feature of Karen Black. He is 100% right. This is going to be a lot of fun. And
he's such a cool guy. He doesn't even mind sharing guest star billing with Zuni himself. So we had to include them both.
That is a healthy ego. I've seen them coming. I've seen them go, but I'll tell you, it's the healthy egos that really work out. So yeah, join us tomorrow for that. And next week, literally the penultimate episode, right,
yes.
Joe?
Yes, number 9. Second to last.
Disco Men Tell All Tales.
Let's get that straight.
Next time, Lagrange Point will be our episode, and looking forward to it at this point, man. Very excited to finish off the series. Gosh, it just keeps hitting me over and over again. The actual series of Star Trek Discovery is coming to an end. So 2 more episodes on that.
Well, with the Pirates of the Federation involved, it's going to be a wild ride these last 2 episodes. Absolutely.
All right. Mr. Townsell, you are the best. Thank you so much for everything you do here at Disco Nights.
Well, thank you, John. You also are the best. We're the best.
We're the best. Our viewers are the best.
The viewers are absolutely the
best. We appreciate so much you watching with us. And that'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week.
Next week.